So this is my website I just made. The question is, what are the differences between the hockey leagues? And so this is a picture of Jonathan Toews, and then this is like a video of like the top 10 most creative goals, and then my slideshow. I like that picture the best. And then these are my leagues. The NHL. Those are the teams. I picked these videos because they are the best. So the NHL has 23 teams in the United States and 7 teams in Canada. The NHL is headquartered in New York. The Stanley Cup is the oldest trophy in North America. The NHL was made on November 26, 1917 in Montreal. It started with 4 teams, and now there are 30 teams. The Montreal Canadiens have won the most Stanley Cups with 24. They are the most successful team in sports the most successful team in sports in North America. The second most successful team is the Toronto Maple Leafs with 13 Stanley Cups. The Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. Then the next and most successful American team is the Detroit Red Wings with 11 Stanley Cups. The Montreal Canadiens hold the record for most consecutive Stanley Cups won, with 5 of them in a row. So that paragraph was all about like how the NHL is today, and then so these are just additional paragraphs. The NHL does this thing called Hockey Fights Cancer. It started December of 1998. What they do is the National Hockey League's Players Association will raise money for people that have cancer. Not just the current players do it in the NHL. Alumni, the referees, the trainers, and equipment managers, marketers of the NHL, broadcasters, and the fans all support the people in need. Okay, and then so this is the last paragraph for the NHL. At the end of the season, there's an NHL entry draft. The draft is only 7 rounds. The draft only has 7 rounds in it. Hockey players that play junior, college, or European League players. Hockey players that play junior, college, or European League players can only enter the draft. The draft order is by where you place your success in the playoffs and the draft lottery. The 14 teams that did not make the playoffs are entered in the draft lottery. Each year, the team that came in last season will most likely be chosen for the first overall draft. Once 14 teams have entered the draft lottery were chosen, the teams that made the playoffs are put into the draft standings by when they got eliminated, which means the Stanley Cup champion will get the last pick of the round, and the runner-up that lost in the Stanley Cup will get to choose right before the Stanley Cup champion of the previous year. So that was the NHL. So now I'm moving on to the Great Lakes Hockey League. And the Great Lakes Hockey League is an elite amateur hockey league. Like the NHL, it has full body contact. You have to be 18 years old to play in the league. Also, to play in the GLHL, you have to have experience in the hockey world. There are 10 teams, 2 divisions, North Division and South Division. All the teams are either in Wisconsin or the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The team with the best record is 1998 through 1999 Portage Lake Pioneers with a record of 25 wins and 1 loss. They also went undefeated in the playoffs. They play 20-minute periods. If it is still tied, 5-minute OT, and then a 5-man shootout. The top 8 teams qualify for the playoffs. So that was the GLHL. And basically what it's saying is that it's like it's kind of like a junior league for the NHL. And then the Big Ten, college. So in college hockey, there has been outdoor games. Michigan and Michigan State played at Spartan Stadium on October 6, 2001. Spartan Stadium is where the Michigan State Spartans football team play. The second game was Ohio State and Wisconsin at Lambeau Field in February 11, 2006. Lambeau Field is where the Packers play. The third game was Michigan and Wisconsin played at Camp Randall Stadium on February 6, 2010. That's where the Wisconsin Badgers football team plays. Fourth game was Michigan and Michigan State again at the Big House on December 11, 2010. Big House is where Michigan Wolverines play football. That game has a record-setting 104,173 fans at the game. The fifth game was the Michigan and Ohio State at Progressive Field on January 15, 2012. I don't know where Progressive Field is, but it sounds like a sport team. The sixth game was Minnesota and Wisconsin at Soldier Field on February 17, 2013. That is where the Chicago Bears play. And the seventh and final game outdoor was January 17, 2014, and it was Minnesota and Ohio State played at where the Minnesota Golden Gophers play football. So then that was the third league. And moving on to the last league, the Ontario Hockey League, or the OHL. So you have to be 15 years old to 20 years old to play in the OHL. There are teams currently in the OHL. There are 20 teams currently in the OHL, 17 in Ontario, 2 teams in Michigan, and 1 in Pennsylvania. In 1892, they would choose the players by skill, not by how old they were. Each hockey club plays 68 games each season. The season schedule starts the third full week of September and ends the third week of March. 90% of the games played each year are scheduled on Thursday or Sunday. They did this because they tried to minimize the missed days at school for the players. 95% of the players attend high school or college. About 20% of the active NHL players came from the OHL. The John Ross Robertson Cup goes to the winner of the championship series. The cup was named by a guy named John Ross Robertson because he was the president of the OHA from 1901 to 1905. The playoffs have 16 teams, 8 teams from each conference. The teams play a best-of-7 series, and the winner goes to the next round. Once a team from each conference has won 12 games, the 2 teams compete for the J. Ross Robertson Cup. The winner of that series wins the J. Ross Robertson Cup, and they go to this big Canadian Hockey League tournament and plays the best team from the Western Hockey League, Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and the host and play in the tournament called the MasterCard Memorial Cup. The most recent team to host the tournament was the London Knights in 2014, and the London Knights play in the OHL. So these are my Venn diagrams, like comparing the teams. So we'll start from the bottom. I'm comparing the NHL to the Great Lakes Hockey League, and the NHL has 23 teams in USA and 7 teams in Canada. 16 teams qualify for the playoffs each year. There's a draft at the end of the year. You win the Stanley Cup if you win the playoffs. The NHL does Hockey Fights Cancer every October. And then for GLHL, all the teams are in Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. You play 26 games in one season each year. They have 5 men's shootouts. Eight teams qualify for the playoffs. The best team was the Lake Portage Pioneers. They did the best with 25 wins and 1 loss. They went undefeated in the playoffs. So the similarities, they both play full body contact, 20-minute periods, and they have 5-minute overtimes in all games. And then the Big Ten to the OHL. Big Ten, there are 6 teams in the conference. They all touch a Great Lake. They are all in the Midwest. There have been 7 outdoor games. They are in the U.S. OHL. The league is in Ontario, Canada. They have playoffs. There are 20 teams. You play 62 game season. They play Thursday and Sunday. There's one similarity, and everyone attends college, but yeah. So, and then I did NHL to Big Ten. So I'm comparing like the NHL to like the Great Lakes Hockey League, Big Ten, OHL, and then the GLHL, which I've already talked about. And then the NHL, so it's like the same things I said for both of them, but there's no similarities. Same with this one, there's no similarities. NHL to OHL, there's no similarities. And Big Ten to GLHL, there's no similarities. So yeah, this is my website. I'll go back here so then you can look at all the pictures. Look at his stick. This guy is beating this guy up. This guy, he's protecting the puck from that guy. That guy's hurt. That is just cool because he's laying on his back and he's like looking at the camera. Favorite team's the Blackhawks, but they're getting scored on. I like the Jets, and that's a cool celebration. This one I just like because it's funny and the goalies don't usually fight. Blackhawks, and then Stanley Cup. This one is funny because he's doing a headstand. All the mascots are on the ice. That's a big hit. So yeah, and then this is a video. Okay, he threw his glove. And then, so yeah, that's about it. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.